Welcome to ACN, the Liberation TV of Ambazonia. Ambazonia Defense Forces, the vanguards of the Ambazonia War of Independence. Welcome to ACN, the Liberation TV of Ambazonia. Ambazonia Defense Forces, the vanguards of the Ambazonia War of Independence.
Good evening. The leader of the Ambazonia Revolution, Dr. Cho Lucas Ayabo, addressed the population of Ambazonia today with a succinct message that reads, "My fellow Ambazonians, we walked out of Nigeria and failed to anticipate the dangers of being neighbors to predators. Our forebears left the land defenseless and used agitation, protest, and nice words against empires and states armed to the teeth. In 1992, John Frundi commanded millions. He thought popularity translated into power. He allowed himself to be barricaded in his house by a loser. In 1993 and 1994, after both the AAC, instead of setting up a fighting force, we traveled abroad to beg the same sellouts to give us freedom. Our weapon was law and history. Your law, speeches and resolutions and hopes and aspirations are useless in a context where power defines the law and determines whether you live or die. We live in a tough neighborhood. The outcome of your struggle for freedom will be determined by how armed you are and how you translate each victory and setback into a political outcome that swings the pendulum to your favor. Liberation is an art, a package of wit and muscle, carefully choreographed to outsmart stronger enemies. We have shown in 4 years that we can combine both qualities to turn an unknown struggle into a subject of powerhouse discussions. We will face agitators from inside and outside. Putting you in doubt is their only weapon. My fellow people, thank you for your continuous engagement and commitment to our liberation. The Stabilization Force was erected to achieve specific territorial and international objectives. In its commissioning, command and control, and organization were clearly demonstrated. State symbols were in full display, control of territory showcased, and a defined population presented. These are the conditions for the existence and recognition of a state. Its mission is to stabilize the liberation space, imbue confidence and trust, and send a message to the enemies and enablers that their resistance is futile. The Stabilization Force should be celebrated. Months of sleepless nights, sacrifices, and commitment. It is not an instrument to be used against others. We must use it to bring others in its support. 4 years into a war of liberation must have taught us one lesson. We cannot avoid being questioned. Provide clarity whenever that happens. Question others with respect. You cannot stop others by attacking them. You can only improve your model and perfect outcomes to win the admiration of others. Some will never stand with you. We have read their reactions to everything we do. They don't want us to fail, but they don't want us to succeed without them. This is where strategic minds are put to work. I will be reaching out to all Ambazonians of good faith as we enter phase 2 of the project. By October 1st, we should have many more thousands of well-trained and well-armed men and women across key strategic pillars. If we must make 2021 different, we must recall the message and action of Grandpa of Bali on January 1st. Cameroon is desperate, confused, and imperiled, yet it remains lethal, and its desperation would translate into more killings and massacres. We must therefore be focused on our strategic objective to strengthen and equip our forces and undertake strategic actions to dismantle the resistance of Cameroon. The world has taken note of its collapsing institutions and vacuum in leadership. Our case is now the subject of discussions across different countries and institutions. We must therefore seize the moment. Dr. Cho Ayaba.
Ambazonia Defense Forces, the vanguards of the Ambazonia War of Independence.
Dear commanders on the ground, in the past days, I gave an extensive interview on the importance of the stabilization plan. The stabilization plan is a counter to Cameroon's destabilization. The stabilization plan is a strategy to stabilize the ungovernable spaces created by the demise of Cameroon. The stabilization plan is a plan that projects certainty, power, and confidence in the way we conduct our liberation struggle. I am glad to see that there is increased collaboration amongst you, the fighters on the ground. You have to continue in that spirit. You have to make sure you increase your collaboration in areas of intelligence sharing, offensive and defensive operations, and other actions. It is only by projecting power and improving on these networks of collaboration that we can undermine the ability of the enemy to use enablers and defectors to infiltrate behind our lines and take out commanders. In the coming days, we will be increasing our budget to ensure that we can support forces, even those that do not fight under the command structure of the Ambazonian Defense Forces. No bloc must be weakened. As I advised my Defense and War Council yesterday, a weakened bloc stretches the Ambazonian Defense Forces to ensure the protection of that bloc. Any bloc weakened gives Cameroon the opportunity to infiltrate, establish itself, and use that bloc as an operations center to attack other blocs. That is why we must ensure that every bloc within the Ambazonian territory is strengthened. I want to appeal to each and every one of you to be focused in asserting your right to self-determination by the use of force. This does not in any way negate our preparedness and our commitment to an internationally supervised negotiation to end Cameroon's tenure within our land. At a time when the international community is poised, there is no bragging right out there to tell who you met in Cameroon, which butcher you dine with. The only bragging right we have is to be able to demonstrate our ability to defend the lives of our people, protect the independence that was restored, and to ensure we end Cameroon's impunity within our homeland. That is the central focus of my leadership. And I hope to God Almighty that all of you will remain as doggedly focused to this agenda as possible. That is the only way you free a homeland. That is the only way you deter the impunity of the occupier. And that's the only way you demonstrate strength to be able to assure friends and enemies that you are ready to sacrifice for your country. My fellow countrymen and women, as I said in New York a couple of years back, a liberation struggle is not a walk in the park. We've come thus far through struggle, through resistance, through collective sacrifice, and we must maintain that status to ensure that we can write the history of Cameroon in our land in the shortest time possible. On the 27th, we will be launching officially phase 2 of the stabilization. It is a strategic plan that will stabilize the liberation phase and ensure that those who will bat for us at the level of the international community have the backing in terms of forward movement in our agenda for liberation. For all those who continue to parade the dead bodies of our fighters, remember this: the Ambazonian people will not have a Truth and Reconciliation Committee. You will be held accountable. We are a generation that never forgets. For the pain you've imposed, for the sacrilege, for trampling on our sacred places, for humiliating even the dead bodies of our people, decapitating our civilians, instituting rape as a systematic policy of terror to deter our people, burning down our villages and making our people homeless, displacing millions of our people, girls and women giving birth in the bushes, indiscriminately arresting our boys, disappearing our young men, murdering our patriots. We will resist you until your tenure in Ambazonia comes to an end. This is a pledge we have made to those who have died, to families who've lost loved ones, to all those who have imbued pain and tragedy for the past 60 years. This is a pledge we've made to our forebears who tried desperately to coexist with you, were humiliated and murdered. This is a pledge we make to all oppressed people across our shores. God bless Ambazonia.
Ambazonia Defense Forces, the vanguards of the Ambazonia War of Independence.
I told you before, when the time comes, they will come to us. And I remind you, I know my national security advisor always reminds me I shouldn't utter certain words, but I say them so you don't forget. Because I know they are trying to take me down. But even if I'm not around, don't forget. You don't owe them child support. Don't forget the crimes they've committed against us. We, this generation, will defeat Cameroon in battle. They said they could fight. They said they had trained bees. They had United States provided tanks and warplanes. We want them to fight. We invite them to fight. We invite them to fight. Where them they? Where them they? Watana wata. Ambazonians, don't be fooled. They fooled us before, not this generation. This is the never again generation that has decided to write the last chapter of its own history. to pen down the story of General Ivo, the bravery of our patriots who fought in trenches with den guns. The stakes are high. Negotiations is not to give you freedom. It's to maintain the status quo. To maintain stability for international exploitation and conspiracy against our own humanity. They aren't coming to talk for the liberation of our detainees, our prisoners of war. They come like Trojan horses with bayonets to murder our patriots volunteers. My fellow people, the kind of country we want to leave to the next generation is one where people find peace and happiness and hope. Where people can laugh even in poverty. They can transform their own society to reflect the kind of society they want to build. We want to build a country where he can walk in and feel at home. Where she can walk in and feel at home. We want to build a country where if you are a hairdresser, you take pride in creating beauty. If you are a farmer, you are happy producing cassava, being able to turn it into gari and find the market 6,000 kilometers away. We want to build a country where we can have a curriculum of education that empowers our people to capture the creative energy of sunlight and power every home. We want to make sure you can capture the rain of the raining season and make sure you can still eat fresh fruit in the dry season. We want to build a country where you can find peace, you can unite your body and your soul and have hope even in poverty. We want to build a country for all of you. So when your final days shall come and you bequeath to the next generation something better than was given to you. That's why you've taken time off to come to this hall today. You're the finest, you are the bravest, you are the warriors of our war of independence. Don't let anyone fool you. I stand between you and your colonizers. And I'll make sure you're going to have your freedom. Freedom is a universal currency. It's valid through time and space. And as a human being, you should take pride in it. I thank you for your sacrifices, for your dedication. I thank you for the investment you've made in the last years, for having hope in this leadership. You are the grassroots. You must have taken note, as he said, you are the vanguard of our revolution. If you look through this hall, we have Ambazonians, professors and doctors in South Africa. You will find very few of them around. You will decide who will govern you. All those in exile must think like entrepreneurs, opportunity creators, for those battling in the bushes, for those fighting on a daily basis. I ask all of you to recommit. In the next few months, we can write Cameroon's obituary in our homeland. Thank you, fellow Ambazonians. Thank you, South Africans, for coming here tonight. God bless you all, and God protect Ambazonia.
The CIC.
Ambazonia Defense Forces, the vanguards of the Ambazonia War of Independence.